All right, so we are back with another stupidly woke podcast, and we have a very special guest today, Christian. He was someone I met during one of my first ayahuasca experience. We really connected on a different level. He's an integration coach. He helps with a lot of integration calls and meetings with a lot of participants that have done ayahuasca with the Hummingbird Church. Uh, a little bit more about that. What you got to say about that? How did all of this happen, bro?
Well, where should we begin?
Bro, first off, where was the first time you experienced your ayahuasca experience?
Okay, so the first time I drank plant medicine, ayahuasca, was at a place in Costa Rica called Rhythmia. Um, I actually worked at Rhythmia,
Yeah.
and for about almost 2 years, from 2018 to when COVID hit last March.
Like how did you end up being a part of Rhythmia? Like what compelled you to go and get this job?
That's
Yeah.
interesting enough. I was going through my spiritual awakening in 2017 into 2018, and I found a Craigslist post
Fucking
for a
Craigslist, bro.
yeah, for a job opportunity in Malibu, California, and there was an office there that they had, a sales office, uh, and then so I got the job there May 1st, 2018, and worked there for almost 3 weeks, and then they sent me to Costa Rica to try the medicine.
So when you're talking about sales, what was that about? Like, were you trying to sell trips to Costa Rica for plant medicine, or what was it, or what was like your job title where they felt like okay, he needs to go to Costa Rica now?
Okay, so I have a background. I went to school for business,
Yeah.
and so I was into sales and customer service on the phones. And so, I saw this job posting for a customer service sales rep for Rhythmia at their sales office in Malibu. And I wanted to, uh, you know, go in that direction and to spirituality. And I feel like that, it called for me and I got the job. And to tell you the truth, it was because I really wanted to try ayahuasca. And so I wanted to, and they said if you worked there for about 6 months, you could go down and try the medicine.
Yeah.
And it actually was about 19 days. And then they sent me down to try the medicine just so that I could understand what I was dealing with, what I was selling, what I
Yeah.
was working with. Because this is a retreat center where
Got
a
you.
lot of people go to. And so a lot of people would call in and we would help them plan their trip to the ayahuasca retreat.
Okay, so you know, put us into your headspace. You get on the plane, you get off. What the hell are you thinking?
It all happened so fast. So I get the job May 1st,
Yeah.
2018. They send me down May 19th, 2019. And I thought I was just going to do 1 week there and 4 ceremonies. And it ended up, after that first week there, I ended up staying there. I fit better down there. The owner, Jerry, who's a wonderful person, he thought I would fit better there. And so he brought me from the sales environment in Malibu down to the holistic side, working in the medicine down at Rhythmia.
Okay, and then give me a little bit insight, like who was the first shaman, or was there even a shaman? Do you guys call him a taita? Like what is the whole process of that? Like
Yeah, so, well, down at Rhythmia, they're, they work with a Colombian Taita named Taita Juanito.
hmm
And Taita Juanito has his students under him. And there was a man by the name of Mitra who trained the shaman who worked at Rhythmia. So it was myself and Brad and Sarah, a few other people who are still down there.
shout
And
out to those people.
shout out to my
I don't know who they
brothers
are,
and
but
sister.
Cool.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful shaman down at Rhythmia.
Yeah.
And our teacher was Mitra, and Mitra worked with Taita Juanito. So this is a Colombian tradition that there's a documentary that they put together called the Medicine Documentary.
Yeah.
There's a YouTube trailer for that.
Yeah.
And so this tradition that Taita Juanito and his team brought to Rhythmia, and we worked with that culture and learning that tradition of the Yahe.
Yeah.
And so working down at Rhythmia, we worked under that tradition and trained with that team. And so that's where I learned for almost
Yeah.
2 years.
So,
Yeah.
side note, when he refers to Yahe, is just another name for ayahuasca, is the traditional name, I believe. Sitting with medicine in Costa Rica, right?
Yeah. Costa Rica.
And sitting medicine here, what do you feel like are the main differences? Like, because when I first started, I was kind of researching Peru, this and that. I felt like to get this experience, I had to travel outside country, experience it raw. Sorry. I had to experience it just like raw, but then really the medicine started kind of reaching out to me and was like, bro, you can just do it here. You know what I mean? And what are like the biggest main differences from an experience retreat in Costa Rica versus here?
Well, it's all about the experience,
Yeah.
really. Yeah, so, getting on the airplane, flying down there, in the culture, if you go to Peru or Colombia or Costa Rica or wherever they have medicine, you're really immersed into the culture. But doing it out here, you're kind of in the culture of what's out here.
Yeah.
So you would go into the medicine and then right back out into society, as opposed to going down to Costa Rica, for instance. You fly down there. It's the experience of going down there, and then you take more time coming back. It gives you more time to integrate the experience.
So when you're integrating in Costa Rica, kind of give me like a visual of just the atmosphere, the ambiance. Are you sitting in like the jungle? Are you at a retreat center? Is it like modern? Is it raw? What is it? Like I just want to know like the whole experience of like sitting in the jungle versus at in
Yeah.
a shed.
Well, like I said, you're really immersed into the
Yeah.
culture down there. So the jungle sounds, the noises in the jungle, and you're really in it.
Yeah.
So the jungle noises, for instance, as opposed to if you're in a shed or closer to the city,
Yeah.
the experience is different. And so going down into the culture and experiencing it like that is just a different experience all around.
Was there any certain sounds that stuck out to you where like it just like kind of like resonated and created like some kind of core memory? Where like was there like a certain bird calling or you know what I mean? Like like what stood out to you?
There's a certain, I don't know what it's called, but it's a certain buzz to the jungle where it's like zzz.
That's dude, is it like just the awakening of the collective insects and
Yeah.
that's yeah.
And then it turns into sort of a hum, like all in union with
Yeah.
one another. And so it just becomes, become
Yeah.
immersed within the sound of the jungle.
Are the groups a lot smaller? Because you know how like when we do our ceremonies, it's about 40 people. How many participants or partake per session? Is it smaller or huge groups too?
Well, it's different everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, at the retreat, there was groups anywhere, small groups
Yeah.
to large groups.
Yeah.
I would be serving medicine to groups of 100 people sometimes.
Okay.
And there would be big groups. A lot of people prefer, whatever they prefer, but it's just different wherever you go. The smaller groups you get to go are more intimate and you get to go a little bit deeper. But the group setting, it has its own ambiance to that too. But it's different. So if you have a smaller setting within the jungle, it's a different type of experience
Yeah.
as opposed to a Colombian Yahe ceremony that can be big. And depending on the shaman, the Taita can hold that energy.
So you mentioned that you serve medicine. That it's something super cool because most people they sit with the medicine versus someone that sits with it and serves it. How did you like start like on this quest of serving medicine? Was there like a whole practice or like what made you want to serve medicine? You know what I mean?
You know, so it chose me.
Yeah.
I didn't really choose it in a sense. I thought I would just drink the medicine
Yeah.
and be cured of all my ailments. But the medicine, had a different plan for me. So I thought I would just go for a week to Rhythmia and then come back to my life in California. But I ended up staying there for almost 2 years and drinking a lot. So
When you say a lot within the 2 years, like how much is a lot? What you're talking about?
well, we would have 4 ceremonies each week at Rhythmia, and we
Bruh.
would have a group each week, a
Yeah.
different group. So I would serve on the Monday ceremony, and then I would help out Brad's ceremony on Tuesday, help Sarah's ceremony on Wednesday, and then we would be with our teacher in the Yahe ceremony on Thursday.
So you guys take turns facilitating ceremonies. Like, do you serve and kind of like watch over the whole ceremony, or how does that work? Why like you're in like training, or is it called a training, or
Well, yeah, I mean, Jerry even had a joke. He called me the shit because the shaman in training.
yeah.
And so all it was for me is my intention was to heal myself.
Yeah.
And so I knew I just had to keep drinking medicine and then allowing the medicine to heal me and to learn from the medicine, to be healed and to learn. So that was my goal, is to simply heal myself and to keep drinking medicine and purging and, keep learning. And as I continued to keep drinking medicine, it just happened naturally.
What do you mean purging for the viewers that don't know what purging is? So some people purge. I personally don't purge. I'll have these gag things sometimes, but nothing ever comes out. But what is a purge? Why do you get it? What is the significance of it? How do you feel about purging?
I love purging, by the way. But
Okay.
yeah, I love it. You learn to love it once you get it. But what the purge is, it's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
But what the purge is, and you could purge so many different ways.
Because I think a lot of people are turned off by ayahuasca because all they do is, oh, I hear that you throw up. Oh, I hear that you get like the poo-poos. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
So, I mean, you do, but it's a different kind of poo-poo.
Yeah. It's a spiritual poo-poo. It's
spiritual
very intimate.
Very. And so, but it's a good thing once you get used to it. It's a different kind of purge. It's all the low vibrating frequencies in our body are coming to the surface.
Yeah.
And are leaving our body. And so when this is happening, you're healing. So a lot of the time when we throw up, we think we're sick. But when you're drinking medicine and you throw up or go to the bathroom or shake or sweat, whatever it may be, or yawn, it's a form of purging. And you're getting rid of these lower frequencies and it's leaving your body completely.
Yeah. So what I started knowing, I've been working with the plant medicine for like roughly like a year now, with Hummingbird and you and everyone. There's a lot of times what I notice is there's a lot of people who tried the plant medicine for the first time and they're like, I think I need to serve it. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm the chosen one, and when in reality you take a step back, because I was in the same place where I was like, bro, I I need to like give this to the world or some shit, you know what I mean? And then later on, the more I sat with it, the more I started like, you become like critically aware. You start kind of disciplining yourself, and I realized like, dude, I don't even want to serve shit. You know what I mean? Like I want to help guide people through, you know, just holding space and stuff. But like I feel like I don't want to serve anything. You know what I mean? But a lot of people, I do feel they fall into the trap where they're like, yo, I want to serve. And how do you decipher these feelings? You know, like what made you fucking take the extra step versus just drinking? You know what I mean? Like what was the calling? Was like, I want to know what was in your gut, you know, when you said, you know, there was a calling, like what were you feeling was going through your head?
Well, I think a lot of people get similar feelings of, I want to share this with everybody.
Yeah.
I want everybody to have these same feelings of freedom and liberation that I have. But everyone has their own journey. So the best way to promote this is just by being your best self and your highest frequency and showing the change through your actions. And as for serving the medicine, if you feel the calling to that, the best thing to do is to keep drinking the medicine and keep purging and keep learning and keep growing internally, and then that will naturally happen if that's your path.
Yeah.
And then, but things may change. You might be going to a different path.
Yeah.
But it will still bring people to the medicine.
Dude, you know what's fucking crazy? So, were you at the Nevada ceremony?
No.
No, damn. So there was a dude that showed up. He ended up doing a podcast with me. Shout out to Luis. Bro, it was crazy because we did a podcast, and after talking with him, he felt like he had this strong calling, right? And bro, now he is in Mexico, in the middle of nowhere, working with the shaman, and he just let go of his old Matrix life, bro. And like, I'm just like, what the fuck? That's kind of crazy. Where like, this medicine, it let him become who he really wanted to be. You know what I mean? And shout out to him for fucking having the balls to just let it all go and traveling his path. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was just something that came to my head that was super cool. You know, I think a lot of people that have never done medicine, they're scared. It's like, what if like you lose your mind and just quit your job and leave this and leave that? It's like, maybe that's what you should be doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you wanted to leave your job and this and that, and you know, why stay at somewhere you don't even like, you know? And if the medicine helps you and you to society, you look crazy and you just quit everything, but that's maybe what you needed, you know? Like,
if you're in a job that's not fulfilling and you really hate it, but you're holding on to it out of fear, and then you drink medicine and then you realize you're in a job that you hate and you want to switch your life.
Yeah.
So part of the awakening experience is the destruction of the old self for the rebuild of the new self, to rise from the ashes like the phoenix.
You know,
right?
it's kind of a trip that we're on this topic right now, because I literally the other day I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and how she's like complacent with her job, this and that, and what came to me is like, if you are searching for a job, you're never gonna be happy. The moment that you're saying I have to go do a job, it's like a job is just a stepping stone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so if you're looking for a job one after the next, and you're always trying to find a job that's better paying, anytime you put job into your brain, I think it's like a disservice. You know, I think you should be searching for like your passion, and the money will eventually come through. And or even though money may not come through, but you know, fulfillment comes through.
Because that's what we really want, is the fulfillment.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do chase the money, but they're not fulfilled, and then they're chasing something they'll never do. I know a lot of wealthy people that aren't fulfilled. And then I know a lot of people that don't have material wealth but have ultimate fulfillment. And that's the new rich.
Look at me, I'm happy and broke. So okay, let's dive a little bit deeper. So like, now you served medicine. How long have you been serving medicine and working with the medicine?
Well, I served at Rhythmia from September 2019
Yeah.
till March 2020, and I came back here when COVID hit, and I've been out here working with Taita Pedro and Hummingbird Church
Shout
ever
out to
since.
Taita
Yeah.
Pedro. So, diving into your integration thing, tell me a little bit more about that. Was there any formal training with that? How did you get into integration? What made you wanna do integration? Like, what the hell is integration?
Yeah. Good question. So, down
Multiple
oh,
questions.
best question. So down at Rhythmia, when I was working there, I was working in the ceremonies, but I would also work with the guests outside of ceremony, helping them understand how to work with the medicine and, just helping them. And so when, you know, each week there was a new group of people. A lot of people would come through, and a lot of people would reach out to me and ask for help after leaving Rhythmia and coming back here. And this is part of the integration. And so I would give them, tips, things that I would do to help me during the integration process. But I was still down in Costa Rica drinking medicine every single week. And so when COVID hit and I came back, I wasn't working with the medicine out here anymore. And that's when I realized I had to integrate my experience over those years of drinking medicine and actually put it into this world here.
Gotcha.
And so I focused 100% on integrating that experience down in Costa Rica. And so I came back here and had to integrate. I had to practice what I preached.
Yeah.
Everything that I learned from the medicine down there, I had to put into practice and bring it to my home.
Got you.
Yeah.
Dope. And action. All right, so we're gonna do a little mini ceremony right now for you viewers. I've personally YouTubed a lot of Repay things, kind of try to learn about it, and honestly, all the videos on YouTube is low key whack. So something special today is Christian. He's administered Repay during ceremony. I've learned a lot about Repay, but let's dive into what Repay is. What information do you have on Repay?
Yeah. So rapé is just a powdered tobacco.
Yeah.
With other herbs and spices. There's many different types of rapé.
Yeah.
Also referred to as hape, and a lot of different cultures have their own different blend.
Yeah.
But what it is essentially is just powdered tobacco that you blow into your nose, or you could have somebody administer it to you and blow it into your nose, and it decalcifies your third eye, your pineal gland. So sometimes you feel a burning in your head, and the tobacco is a masculine plant, so it's more of a grounding plant. It mixes well with the feminine plant, such as ayahuasca, and they say the mother ayahuasca and the grandfather tobacco do a nice dance together. So if you're on ayahuasca and you're really far out, in a sense, it could bring you back into your body and ground you.
Bro, I'll share with you one of the first Repay experience I had. It was on a Sunday. I just had a crazy experience on Saturday, and my intention for Sunday, when I drank ayahuasca, was to kind of control myself. Just be more in control and not let the medicine kind of take over so much. Mm-hmm. And dude, I was really struggling with controlling myself, and Taita Pedro told Tefa to go and repay me. Mm-hmm. And I was like, bro, I just was repaid like the first time by Taita Pedro, and that shit like blew out my dome already. Yeah. So I was like, nah, man, I'm good with the repay. I don't want to fuck with it right now. Mm-hmm. And then Tefa was like, unfortunately, Taita said you need it. I was like, all right, whatever, you know what I mean? But dude, the moment she administered it, it fucking like took me back, grounded me.
Did you purge?
bro, I barely made it to the restroom.
Yeah.
This time I purged out my butt.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I was like, yo, I'm fully awake. Get the fuck out of my way. And I ran and but dude, that was one of the first times where I was like, damn, this now I understand what it's for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It helps ground you, helps bring you back.
Hmm.
It's kind of like, like ayahuasca kind of like lets you go wherever, but there's like this leash, right? And then rapé is the thing that pulls you back when
Yeah.
you need to. You know what I mean?
And it could also bring on a purge.
Yeah.
Like if you have stuck energy and you need
Yeah.
it to be moved, then you just have the rapé with intention, of course, and then it
Yeah.
could help.
I mean,
bring
I've
that.
seen people go through their own journey with rapé purely, like
Hmm.
some wild
Oh yeah.
shit, you know. But anyways, so a little bit more about that rapé. I'm gonna have Christian administer rapé to me. He's gonna give you a little bit insight, why we do the left nostril, why we have to do both nostrils, why once you decide to do it, you got to go through with both and not pussy out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's just not gonna feel good if you just do one nostril. Uh,
Yeah.
but all right, so the rapé we have today is very special. I got it from our good friend Nacho. I met in a ceremony in Mexico with Taita Angel, and it was a beautiful ceremony, dude. And Nacho hooked us up with some of this rapé. And what is this pipe thing that you're using?
So this is called a tepi.
Okay,
There's also the caripe, which is a
yeah,
self-administering, a blow it in your
yeah.
nose. This is a tepi, and just put a little bit of the rapé, which is a powder, into the tepi, and then say a blessing, a intention.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So this tepi was actually created by me with the help of my friend Ryan, but I sanded it. This is made from raw bamboo, and it's I've seen Brian use it yesterday. I personally haven't used my own creation, but it was knocking people out. So let's get it, bro. All right,
Let's,
so
let's do
share with the camera what we're gonna be doing right now.
Okay, so just put a little bit of powder in here, and then you set your intention. And the reason we do left nostril, then right nostril, for me, it's different for everybody, but the left nostril is the death, and right nostril is the rebirth. Or you can say the left side is the feminine first before the right side, which is the masculine. But everybody has their own thing. But I like to do the left, then the right for that reason.
So, also a side note, people administer it differently. There's multiple different techniques through your breathing. Uh, me personally, I like Taita Pedro's, even though like he'll fucking explode your brain if you're not ready for
Right.
it. But with me and him, like I welcome his energy when he's doing it. But a lot of other people where I shared with Chuck,
Hmm.
he's a lot more gentle.
Yeah.
So you get different experiences with it.
Right.
But yeah,
And you can have, sometimes you could put a lot more, like Taita Pedro. He
Yeah.
likes to put a lot, and he blows very, very hard. So it's
Yeah.
very, very powerful. I've seen him knock over people before.
yeah,
But then, like you say, Chuck, or what I'll give you
Yeah.
right now is just a little bit, just to show. But still, it's grounding.
So yeah, there's multiple different rapés. It's not just one, and it's mixed with multiple different like leaves or whatever. And there's a whole process of turning into ash, and each one opens different points, different chakras, I guess, or whatever. But let's get it.
Yeah. Here we go. tear and everything.
So what goes immediately through my body is like this vibration that kind of like calms me down, censor it. What I learned about using Repair is you really want it to sit within your sinuses. The longer you sit with it, the more you kind of have like your own personal awakening within yourself. You know, and one of the most important things is you don't want to breathe this in, and you don't want it to go in to your system because you could throw up. I've seen a lot of people throw up from it because they're not ready for it. But how I do it is I I hold the breath, and when he shoots through it, you don't want to like suck in or anything.
Right.
You want everything to be in this area, and then you can feel all of this, all your nerves, everything just awaken.
Yeah, and the tears in your eyes, that's form of purge. You're purging a little bit.
That's
And
something
it's
that
a
I
good
never even
state.
thought about it.
Yeah.
You know, Nacho shit is strong, bro.
I
Like
know.
I'm like my whole body feels like it's vibrating right now. You know,
Yeah.
and you know, it may seem intimidating, but when you do it, you build a relationship with it. Uh, Side note, it could get addicting, so you have to be very mindful of that. Um, I just gotta say a little. That shit was
I
fucking
know you're
wild, bro,
vibrating. I could tell.
dude.
That's good.
But it's just a sense of calmness, and like all this energy just comes in, and you just get to sit with it. Because at the end of the day, we're just all energy, bro.
Yeah. Well, this is why we do this before an ayahuasca ceremony, is to calm the energy and to ground our energy before we take flight.
The first time I did it with Taito Pedro, I was like, I'm good on this shit.
Yeah.
But then now I welcome it, you know?
Yeah.
And some insight Chuck told me this is just like ayahuasca, but the experience is long term. So it's like you do it and you'll still get the revelations or these epiphanies, you know, a year versus 4 hours, you know? And you know, Chuck is cool, man. Actually, Chuck was the one who made me more comfortable with it. And then Nacho, he specializes in it, dude. His repe circle that we did in Mexico, it was just awesome, man. You know, and I saw people breaking down, and they got to share and everything, and it just opens up your heart or
Yes.
whatever. And you know, like right now, I feel like a huge sense of like love.
Yeah.
You know, it's a trip, bro. So I would recommend people a lot of times when they get repaid, they end up blowing it out right away. I would sit with it minimum like 5 minutes at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah,
know,
let
but-
it work through a
yeah.
little bit, and then you'll start to build up some. Yeah, there you go. And some snot. You want to blow your nose.
Yeah.
I have my
There you
caripe.
That shit was wild. I wasn't expecting that. Nacho shit is wild. Shout out to Nacho again. So, as you can see, this is what it looks like. It looks wild, but
So
it clears up your sinuses really well.
this is the caripe. So you have your tepi, the pipe, to administer to somebody else. This is the self-administer
Are you gonna minister yourself?
caripe. Sure, yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Let's do it.
Dude, it's good.
Yeah.
It's cool.
I have to try some after seeing you do
Yeah.
this. Like, here we go. Yeah, Brian gave me some last night. Woo. Gracias, abuelo.
You can't help but laugh, man. This is just good energy. So as he's doing this, we had a random ass experience yesterday where we all showed up and we ended up having a mushroom ceremony. and this was the first time where I used mushrooms in a more intention way, and it was more like a full-on ceremony, man. That shit was fucking
Yeah,
bananas.
it was crazy.
You know,
It was great.
dude, the energy was fucking awesome. You know, people got to just let emotions out. There were like real healing. Like that shit was so special, man.
Yeah.
Like I was telling you yesterday, man, you can't put a price tag on that.
No, you cannot.
Yeah.
It's beyond words can comprehend and explain, but we try.
Yeah, I felt like it was what everyone needed yesterday within that circle that we had. And we all just showed up randomly. I didn't even know. It was crazy because I invited Christian. I messaged him, and then he didn't respond. But then when I came and he was here, I was like, "What the fuck,
Yeah.
bro?
Well,
I wanted you here."
Yeah. I messaged you, and then Hi called me. I thought he was with you,
Yeah.
and then I came here, and you didn't know, but it was all perfect. I didn't know I was showing up either,
Yeah,
but it all came together.
yeah.
It was beautiful.
I didn't even know Ryan was coming. Brian showed up. I was like, "Man, this is fucking dope." And
Joe showed up. Thank you
Yeah.
for being here, Joe. We love you.
and all the people that showed up yesterday were facilitators or are facilitators for the Hummingbird Church. And I think it was very important that we had that happen because we ended up bonding a lot more yesterday as facilitators. And you know, the work that we do, it's
Sacred.
it's sacred and it's really fucking draining, bro. You know, like when I'm holding space for 40 plus people and you just intuitively know what to do, um, you know, this is how facilitators kind of like open up and kind of let ourself heal and ourself get ready for ceremony and stuff. And so it's not like just a bunch of random people that showed up and helped. It's like I had a calling to help, you know what I mean, beyond just taking medicine. There's people who just sit with the medicine, they have a lot of personal healing, but when you are at a certain stage in your life, you just know that this is where you're supposed to be. And it feels so second nature to me when I help people, when I drink medicine, you know, all of this just feels so natural to me, you know?
Yeah, and you know what I like to say also is ayahuasca, the medicine, and mushrooms, and working with these medicines. We work with these medicines, and they are the teacher and the healer for the healers, so that we can go out and help the world and help heal the world.
Dude, man, honestly, I feel like we call it medicine, but it's really nothing. Like ayahuasca, mushrooms, all of that is just a tool to connect your energy, and then you do the rest of the work. You know, and
That's why integration is so important.
personally, I feel integration is way more than important than just doing the medicine, because you can do a medicine a million times, and if you never integrate into your everyday life, if you don't keep integrating it daily, keep in contact with people that are currently integrating or understand medicine, your journeys or whatever you call it may start getting hazy and you can only remember certain things and this and that. But for me, since I'm so connected into this community, I'm like integrating every day, like nonstop. It's just my whole life is just integration.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The medicine will heal us and teach us, give us everything we need to heal ourselves. And then we go back into life and have homework to do.
Yeah.
And then if we keep going back to the medicine, she'll keep giving us the same homework until we actually do the inner work. And that's how we really, truly grow. And this is why we come to the medicine, to have that inner healing, inner revealing of who we are, and inner growth.
How did you meet Taita Pedro?
Taita Pedro, through friends that I met in Costa Rica. They knew that I had come back and that Rhythmia had shut down due to the COVID. And so I was back, and Corey and Melina, they put me in touch with Taita Pedro. Shout out to Corey and Melina.
How did that conversation play out? Like, yo, I'm
So
coming back from Costa Rica.
so they knew me and from Costa Rica, from Rhythmia, and they knew that Rhythmia had shut down and due to COVID at the time, March of 2020, and so I was back, and they saw that I was back in the States, and they said, "Are you looking for a place to drink medicine?" I communicated with them. I actually saw them up in Sedona at a ceremony with Taita Juanito, his brother, Taita Luis, and so I saw them there with people we collectively knew, and they put me in touch with Second Cup, Taita Pedro. I met Courtney and Taita together back in 2020.
Now I
And
know
the
why
rest
they
is
call it
history.
second cup, bro. Because once he goes second cup, shit's about to hit the fan. So, all right. So, share with me a little bit about the first time you experienced ayahuasca. What was going through your head? Anything profound? What the fuck happened?
So the first time drinking medicine, I love to work with people who it's their first time drinking medicine because that's their first awakening with the medicine. And so for me, my first time, well, the very first ceremony, we had 4 ceremonies in that first week that I drank medicine. The first one was an amazing experience, but I still felt these this depression I had. Next ceremony, second ceremony, I still felt this depression, but it was an amazing experience. But I still felt that something was there that I had to get rid of.
So, would you say that you were, you had depression, or were you a depressed person prior to taking medicine, or?
Right. That's what led me to the medicine is depression, suicidal thoughts, and not wanting to live anymore.
Was that just a like I can't even say it right now because I'm still feeling the repay, but it's like just your whole entire life experience. Like, what made you kind of like go down this rabbit hole where you felt like suicidal, and like what led to those feelings?
I say it's an onset mental illness because I never had mental illness growing up.
Yeah.
I played sports, a lot of contact sports, football, rugby. I had a lot of concussions. And so into my 20s, I was living in Los Angeles, and I developed a sort of depression.
Yeah.
And didn't have a purpose to live. And I was going to church at the time. There was a church in Hollywood called Mosaic, and I would go there, and that was like my last hope was going to church and learning about God, right?
Yeah.
And since I was a little kid, I was always going to church, but there was a block, I didn't really understand, and so I was at this very deep depression, and this church thing wasn't working. But then when I drank the medicine this first time, this is when it revealed to me that everything that I had gone through in my life led me to that point of healing, of understanding how it's all perfect. Everything that I thought was a traumatic event was perfect to lead me to here. So all of those traumas I've had are actually badges of honor because I've been able to heal myself from them using these medicines to help.
So it's
as a tool.
I think it was a perfect transition where you said that you had suicidal thoughts, you were depressed. Just recently, I had a friend reveal to me that she was suicidal and she had these thoughts and she was depressed, and she's kind of like just finding her own way. She's a lot younger, and she's kind of just trying to make her way through life. You know what I mean? You know, ayahuasca, I feel like it's not for everyone, but if it's calling you or you're interested about it, I've seen a lot of people who've gone through years of therapy, just trying to fix themselves, go resort to ayahuasca, and I mean, it's not a quick fix, but it's a direction where like they finally felt like there was some type of healing being done. You know, this is probably a topic that a lot of people don't want to go into, but I feel like if you are suicidal, if you have depression, um, what would you recommend? Like for you, you ended up using ayahuasca and it helped you, but do you feel like it's a tool for suicidal people, or what do you recommend someone kind of like at their last
Mm.
stage?
Yeah. So if anybody is feeling that feeling, it's simply an indication that they need to make a change in their life.
Yeah,
Because neurologically, there are neurological pathways in our brain that are broken down due to stress, poor diet, traumas, traumatic events. And these neurological pathways break down. And what the medicine does is regrows those neurological pathways. So, on a biological, physical level, you are healed. And Dr. Joe Dispenza talks a lot about this too.
who is this doctor that you're talking about?
Dr. Joe Dispenza, you could YouTube him. He talks a lot about neural plasticity, and so uh, what the medicine does is goes on a biological cellular level to heal the neurological pathways in our brain. So sometimes with talk therapy, you can talk for 20, 30 years, but it's the same loop because of the neurological pathways in our brain are broken down.
Yeah,
But the medicine goes in and heals those. So it regrows those neurological pathways so that you can um, think better. Think like how you thought before you had the trauma. Uh-huh. It and then but with the memories that you still have. Does that make sense?
yes.
Mm.
And to continue with our conversation, I wanted to bring up a topic. Since you do a lot of integration and integration coaching, I believe, what is the difference between you and a therapist?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I got
I know.
brain, bro. Can
Well,
someone come to you that has never done medicine integrate with you? Or would a prerequisite be you have to try some type of medicine first?
no, I would love to work with people who have never tried medicine
Yeah.
either, if they're willing to be open.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time, we're in our own way, and we try to get out of the situation with the same thinking that got us into that situation. So if you're in a loop of thinking, you need something to break that down to open you up. So the medicine will really break you down so that you can be open to receiving the information instead of being your own worst enemy and having that block up. So if somebody is willing to work with me to prepare for the medicine experience, I would definitely help people prepare for those experiences, have a mystical experience within the medicine, and then integrate that experience.
Yeah. So, besides ayahuasca, there was a ceremony that we've done Bufo. I didn't do the Bufo, but I was holding the space. You were one of the participants for that day. Give me your insight on the difference between Bufo and ayahuasca.
Mhm. Good question. So ayahuasca, it's DMT with a monoamine oxidase inhibitor, so you could be orally ingested, and so it lasts about 6 hours because it's orally ingested, and it goes through waves like
Yeah.
this. It's intense, and then it'll calm down and then get intense, something like
Yeah.
that. Now, and that lasts again about 6 hours. With Bufo, it goes straight to the most intense part.
Yeah.
It's the 5-MAO DMT, and that will take you very, very deep, very, very quickly. So the experience only lasts about 10 to 15 minutes, but it takes you to the deepest part within yourself.
So, the day that I was helping holding space for you, uh, when you took Bufo, me and Vitali happened to be there for you. Um, what did you experience? Like, what was going through your mind? Like, what did you see? If you saw anything, What was your feelings? What was the energy like?
It was. I've had experiences similar to this before with ayahuasca, where you have a non-dual experience, non-duality, and no time or space.
What
And
what is non-duality?
non-duality, if I had to define that, is like, for instance, we have a dual perspective, you and me.
Yeah.
But when there's non-duality, it's all oneness. You
Gotcha.
feel a
Yeah.
sense of oneness, togetherness, unity.
Well, it's kind of cool because, our mushroom ceremony yesterday was profound in the sense that I still connected to the same energies, to the same uh, spirits, you can call it. And it's bringing me to this epiphany where, like, bro, it's not the medicine that we're taking, it's ourselves that are connecting to whatever it is. It's just uh, what we're taking is just kind of like, I don't know, a Game Shark hack
Yeah,
to the
kinda.
dome.
Yeah,
you know?
all these medicines. I mean, there's a lot of different type of medicines
Yeah.
like this. They're all different in their own way, of
Yeah.
course, but it's not just that as the medicine,
Yeah.
because we take the medicine,
Yeah.
drink or eat medicine, and we gain that understanding of who we truly are,
Yeah.
of what we are as nature. And so it's that medicine mixed with us together to give us this awareness.
It's really cool how the community that we're in, it really has no uh there's really no color, there's really no religion. For example, when we first met and we're just standing in front of the fucking miniature horse, and me and you just realized, like, yo, I'm the embodiment of Christ, and then I connect with Buddha. And so we call each other Jesus and Buddha all the time. But the crazy thing is, when we were laying next to each other yesterday and we were talking, it's like it's the same energy, but we just call it differently.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's cool because there were times when I did connect with a god, and I feel like it was the god that kind of governs this reality, this dimension, the people who pray to God and this and that. And it was the first time I really connected that level with God, and I'm like, damn, this shit is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And it's weird to explain, but when you're under medicine, it's such a connection with energy, like, automatically who comes through.
Yeah.
Like, it's a trip because you have to take the medicine to kind of understand where I'm coming from. But, like, dude, I would be like, yo, my grandma's here. Like, I know it's her energy
Yeah.
here.
You have a sense. A
Yeah.
certain
Or,
knowing.
like, I'll be like, for yesterday, for example, I had to stop everything because I was like, bro, Buddha energy is coming through right now. So just sit and feel and let its energy kind of, like, conduct the energy around here.
When that happened last night, when you said
Yeah.
that the Buddha energy is coming through, and I tapped into that energy, and I know that energy too.
Yeah.
And that's the energy that I call the Christ
Yeah.
Sophia consciousness.
Yeah.
And it's one and the same, and we have different concepts of what that is,
Yeah.
and we label it, but it's one. It's the same.
Yeah, I mean, it goes down to that story where, like, there was a story about how, like, there's, like, kings and other people where they're like, yo, this is called a cup. And then the other person's like, no, this shit's called a li. In Vietnamese, li is cup, right?
Mhm.
But it's like, why the fuck are you guys arguing about what the fuck this is called? At the end of the day, you're still drinking shit from whatever this is called. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The sun
You know,
is the sun.
yeah. You can have
they
whatever
call it
name, but it's,
soul,
yeah.
It's the sun.
But following up, I've been hearing you yesterday and today, the Sophia energy. Why is it called Sophia? Who is Sophia? Why is she important? Or is it a she?
Well, this Christ Sophia Consciousness.
Yeah.
There's a really good book called The Sophia Code by
Yeah.
Kara Ra. And she talks about a lot of the female archetypes, like
What's the archetype? What does that even mean?
an archetype is like a certain energy
Got
that
you.
lives within us,
Yeah.
like a story. Like there's the king, the queen, the jester.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different type of the Joker, the mother, the father.
Got you.
There's a little type of archetypes, and there's a lot of feminine archetypes within spirituality, like the Mary Magdalene, the Mother Mary, the Green Tara, the female Buddha,
Dope.
Kuan Yin,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of other ones as well. And so the Sophia, it's this female energy, and which they say was the Christ energy.
Yeah.
And this was a female energy, and so it's an energy of wisdom. So Sophia translates into wisdom.
So it was a trip because one of my first experiences that was so profound under medicine was I was so consciously aware of existence, of why the earth is the earth, why there's humans, why there's the universe, why there's other energies. And it was just like this deep knowing. It was like someone plugged a hard drive, and the hard drive was like on it was like the answer to existence, and then plugged in my brain.
Yeah.
Right? And then like you just sit there and you're just like, yo, I understand how the universe works. I understand how it's processing, how it exists, why it exists. And it's kind of hard to kind of like regurgitate into language because bro, this is all telepathic. And when you open that line with the universe or whatever you call it, it doesn't matter what you call it, but it's the same thing. I call it the source because I don't know what else to call it. It just sounds easier. But dude, it's like you now have this knowing there's so much more than just what we perceive as humans. We're like getting the best job, making the most money, having a family,
That's
like
the illusion.
yeah,
Right.
And it kind of sucks in a sense where like you really can't have this conversation with a lot of people because their goal is to make money so they can have a family. And then on their tombstone was like, here's Tony, he was a dad, whoop-de-doo. It's like
Whoop-de-doo.
like that doesn't drive me.
Right.
What drives me is knowing that there is so much more, and we're all interconnected beyond just this earth thing. It's like, I want to get someone on this podcast that believes that earth and this one life is all we have, because I would love to pick their brain. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that's what
of course.
this whole podcast is about. So anyone who feels like this is the only existence, I would love to have you on the podcast, and I would love to learn about what you have to say and your ideology about things, you know what I mean? And
Yeah, well,
dude.
because what ideologies are, these are human concepts
Yeah.
that try to explain the unexplainable. So, like for instance, religion, it tries to explain something that can't be explained, but it tries its best with the stories and what it talks about. But that is simply human concepts.
You know what is crazy? What's crazy to me is there's people that I meet in my everyday life where they are strong believers in God, and they live their whole life and they're like, God made this possible, God made this, God did that. And then when we talk about plant medicine, they're like, that's mumbo jumbo. But I'm like, bro, you literally believe in what we believe in, but you don't believe in it just because we're drinking something, or doing this or doing that. You know what I mean?
And
Like it still blows my mind.
if people are resistant to this at all, it's just simply not their time.
Yeah.
They need that resistance, and they need that dualistic concept, such as religion or believing in a dualistic way. That's why we learn as kids through stories, and we learn that way through reading. But then when we grow up and awaken, we actualize it through our being. Rather than believing it's out there, we actualize it through ourselves.
So I had this conversation with my sister. She is a very spiritual person, but it's kind of cool because she learns all her knowledge and all her knowing and everything through books and through research because she's like a scholar. She's like just hyperly smart. And I'm like the opposite end where like I don't read at all, and all the information I'm getting is just from, you can call it the universe or from the deep consciousness of my brain, whatever it is. But the cool thing is we can cross-reference each other, and one of the questions she asked that, so side note, there's so much information that is being processed through my personal energy. I have no clue what I know. Right? And one of the questions she asked was, why is there statues, and do you believe there's energy to statues? Right? And for the longest time, I was like, I had this major experience where like I was not under medicine, I was young, this and that, and I had this sleep paralysis. It was really scary, and Buddha showed up. And I was like, bro, this is some real shit, right? And so I was like, dude, I'll never bow down to a statue. I would never do anything because it's just a statue, right? But then the moment she asked me that question, I was like, actually, what is coming through right now is the statue does have energy because whoever made the statue, their intent was creating the statue. Their energy was going into molding the statue or this art piece or whatever, and it becomes Virgin Mary, it becomes Buddha, it becomes Jesus. And so the statue has that energy to it, right? And I had this conversation with my friend that I was telling you about, the monk, where he's building the temple in the mountains. He was like, for people like us that have been diving into our spiritual self or whatever, we are more aware and we're conscious of it. So we really technically don't need a statue, right? But a statue is so important to people that need a focal point.
Yeah.
So that statue represents whatever they believe in, and it helps them focus and meditate or whatever with that statue.
It's a symbol.
Yeah. There you go.
What it represents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but for the longest time, I had this thing where like, bro, it's just a statue. Is bullshit. But really, after she asked that question, it just kind of, my brain started like cranking and shit, and I was like, yo, statues do have meaning to it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And yeah, man, it's kind of like a trippy thing.
Yeah, you know, the statue, it's the physical representation of the energy.
Yeah.
And so we don't worship the actual physical thing, but what it represents in a sense, which is a lot bigger.
Yeah.
So like with reading stories, we learn from the stories, but then the concept that's being portrayed through the story, we actualize it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I think it's so hard in a sense with religion, because I have family members where like they'll preach of God, they read all these books, they read the Bible, but the hardest thing is having a consciousness where like the same stories can have 100 different meanings. You know what I mean? And so it's like, it's so difficult for me to talk with someone where like they read the same story, but what they got out of it is like totally what I didn't get out of it, and I got something totally different from it. And then now it's like the same story. It's like goes back to the fucking cup thing. You know what I mean? It's like they're now having the story that resonates with them, but what they got out of it is totally something different. You know, and so it's like I have family members where they'll they'll preach of God, this and that, but then like once they're out of church, I'm like, bro, you're totally opposite of
Right.
what the fuck you're preaching.
It's
You know what I mean?
hypocritical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And yeah, man, it's a trip. And I think that's why I resonate and I connect so well with the community that we're in, because it's like whatever you got out of that story, good for you, bro. You know, I'm genuinely happy for if it's helping you become a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
There's really not that much judgment going on with our personal group. But dude, I hear so much drama shit about every other group. You know, it's like we're all out here in the same purpose of healing, but dude, one spiritual group is against another spiritual group, and I'm just like, what the fuck's going on, bro? That is not spiritual shit at all. You know what I mean? Do you experience any of that shit? Because
Well,
you know, I mean, you've been around different groups and stuff too. So
It's interesting you say that because you'd think that spiritual people are a group, and then there's non-spiritual people, and then the spiritual people and the non-spiritual people are against each other. But it's actually quite different.
Yeah.
It's actually the non-spiritual people go off and do their own
Yeah.
thing in the Matrix or whatever.
yeah,
And then spiritual people, I've noticed there's a lot of judgment within
Yeah.
the spiritual communities of how they do certain things, and that's going back to the religion or the cup
Yeah.
analogy of they're judging and fighting over, but this is over whatever. But what I've noticed is spirit, if you will, source, the wants us to learn these lessons with one another. So we learn from our brothers and sisters, and this is why forgiveness
Yeah.
and love and compassion and patience and joy and self-control and gentleness, all this good stuff, and this is why that's so good, is
Yeah.
because the light is much more powerful than the darkness.
yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like one thing that's coming to my head, like, what is the definition of spirituality or being spiritual? Like, to me, what's coming is spirituality is just being present. Like, right now, like, I feel like we are being spiritual because we're present and we are aware of our energies. We are aware of other people's energies. We're more compassionate towards other people because we are present instead of just he said, she said.
Yeah.
We're now just saying, okay, I'm listening.
This is why healing is self-healing,
Yeah.
and understanding and using plant medicine as a tool
Yeah.
is very helpful, is because we all have traumas or conditioning. We all go through the human experience of being born and conditioned into who we think we are, our persona, our name, or whatever we are. But everyone has that human experience, and they look at the world through their own paradigm.
Yeah.
And so we all have things that we're working on together. And this is, in my opinion, why we're here on earth, is to grow spiritually, is to evolve and transcend spiritually, emotionally,
Yeah.
our inner self. And so these spirituality isn't all sunshine and rainbows and good, because
Yeah, it's not.
spiritual, there is energy, and there's dark energy, light energy. So what the medicine does is helps us. It doesn't give us anything, but what the medicine does is sheds these layers of who we think we are to get to who we truly are, to understand that. And so these perceptions of persona, of who we've been conditioned to be, all these traumas fall away as we drink medicine and purge and become more of who we truly are. So within the spiritual communities, there's a lot of people with different perceptions, concepts. You know, we're all humans doing this human experience. But the goal, in my opinion, is to move towards the light.
Yeah.
This is why I love the story of the Christ story, because it talks about love.
Yeah.
And within stories, so we can understand what it is through parables. Just like you said, people understand, they get things differently out of the stories. And so these stories will speak differently to each individual based off of where we are.
Yeah.
And so the spiritual communities and people, we still, no matter who you are, if you're a human being, then you are growing. And then when our bodies die, then we get to transcend. So while we're here, we're all growing together. And if there's any trigger, then that's a good indication to go inward and find why you're triggered and go to the root of that. And that's what the medicine helps with.
So I feel like a lot of times people that have not done medicine, I feel personally blessed because I am in a certain stage of my life where when people are seeking out ayahuasca, they turn to me. And I'm just like, that's cool. You know what I mean? Like, I'll lead you on the path and you find it yourself, you know? But one of the topics that come up the most is, oh, I'm trying to kill my ego. I'm trying to let go of my ego and have this ego death and this and that. And then once you experience it, you know, a lot of times I feel like people get confused where like they experience something and they're like, yo, I think that's my ego death, you know, or I just died and I think my ego is dead with it. And then like they feel like this over sense of welling sense of knowing and love, and I call it the spiritual ego, which is even more difficult to fucking kill if you even need to kill it or whatever. And how do you feel about that? Did you feel like, you know, the first couple times when you took medicine, did you feel like you're like, yo, I'm fucking holy or this and that? Because I personally felt like I was like, bro, am I a god or something? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? And then like the more I took it, I was like, nah, I'm just another dude.
Yeah. So the medicine does that. It builds us up, it humbles us, and so I've seen that a lot. You know, I myself, you know, we think because, you know, we are it in a sense, but the spiritual ego, like you say, is almost worse than the actual ego. But the ego is
actually
good.
worse.
You see, there's a concept of people wanting to kill their ego, but it's more of wanting to be an amigo to your ego, a friend. You know, you want to have that relationship, because what our ego is doing is trying to survive and keep our body alive. We go to the bathroom, we procreate, we eat food. And so, but the ego is sometimes out of place, so it runs the show. Yeah. And what the medicine does, it helps kill the ego, but it doesn't die all the way. Yeah. So a lot of people will think that it's done, my ego's gone, but of course the ego is very elusive and just hides out over here. Yeah. And then it'll be coming back to you. So, for instance, people might have an awakening and they'll go out and try to tell everyone, you need this, you need this, you need this. Yeah. But that's like you said, it's best to go inward at that time. Yeah. What I thought was the end was actually the beginning. Yeah. To my self-healing. So, you know, and it's always good to share with other people by your actions, not just telling, right? You need a break?
Yeah, we're gonna do another.
Cool.
Break. Okay. So I would like to share with you a little experience I had. This was one of the first time I drank medicine with Ricardo. He is a shaman that learned out of Mexico, and it's kind of cool because he is kind of like a 21st century version shaman. You know, like Taita Pedro was very traditional. You know, Ricardo had formal training, and then like he's kind of like mixing like different ayahuascas from different regions, and you know, his shit is like, dude, it's a lot of visuals and stuff. But one of the experience I had was, dude, all these spirits came to me and they're like, bro, it's time for you to kind of awaken and kind of like get on your task of helping humanity in some way. And in the medicine, when I was having a conversation with them, I was like, bro, if you want to do that and you're gonna make me do it, I'll do it, but you gotta let me keep some of my ego. I'm gonna do it my way. You know what I mean? And if you don't like it, then fuck it, I'm not gonna do it. Do you know what I mean? And lo and behold, I guess they were cool with it because, I started this podcast. I'm doing my own shit, and like I'm just helping elevate and heal people around. And it's crazy because I'm physically seeing people heal through these things that I'm setting up and everything, and I'm just like, yo, shit is really happening, man. And they are really on my side and helping me navigate everything. Like everything that I'm doing, uh, it's just so effortlessly. Anything that I manifest, it just happens so easy. Even including yesterday, all I did was like, yo, my client rescheduled, let's make something happen.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know what was gonna happen, but whatever happened needed to happen. you know and it was such a experience yesterday, man.
Yeah.
It was like super cool.
Yeah, I think it's when we start to let go and surrender to what's happening, and instead of having our expectations of how life should be. And so if you have a sign of something, just take the sign and go with the flow instead of stressing. Hmm.
I feel like everyone on this planet is energy, so they're able to connect with other energies. Just the universe, or whatever you want to call it, is always communicating with you. But it's like a lot of times you can't decipher it. So you think it's your own thoughts and you're like, nah, maybe I shouldn't listen to my gut, or maybe I should do this. Nah, I'm not ready for that. But it's like, bro, they're telling you
Yeah.
what to do,
You said it perfect. Your gut.
Yeah.
It's sometimes people operate off their fear-based mind,
Yeah.
but your intuition, your gut, speaks to you literally
Yeah.
here, and that's the voice you want to listen to.
And I'm glad that you brought it up because, I was subconsciously doing uh, and listening to the universe or whatever my whole life, but I didn't call it the universe. I didn't call it spiritual. I didn't call it anything. I was just calling it kind of self confidence. Like, even today, there's a lot of people that are close to me, and they're like, bro, man, Tony's just gonna do whatever the fuck he wants, and this fool is fucking crazy. It's like when I was like 23, I was like, I'm gonna sell everything I own, and I'm just gonna travel to third world country and fucking help people. I don't even know who I'm helping or why I'm helping, and I don't even know anything, but I'm doing it. And they're like, fuck, this guy is fucking insane. Bananas. But then, dude, it's crazy because by me doing that, it inspired other people just because they saw me do it.
Mhm.
And then they started going their own journey, and they'll message me like, yo, you inspired me. I was like, dope, that's tight.
Yeah.
Keep on going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, dude, my whole life I listened to my gut. Even though, like, sometimes my gut would tell me to do some shit where I was like, man, this shit's gonna wreck some relationships. This shit's gonna fucking burn bridges or something. And I was like, but I just gotta do it. My gut's telling me, and I just gotta do it. You know what I mean? So it comes to a point where, like, I really wholeheartedly put my faith into the universe and what they're telling me to do. Because one thing is, you think these thoughts that are coming into your head are your thoughts,
Right.
but no, they're really not.
Mhm.
They're an energy shoots it into your consciousness, and then you're like, hey, I have an idea.
Yeah, it's like an antenna. Your
Yeah.
brain's like an antenna.
But then it's like, if you don't have that understanding, you think like, oh man, I have this thought that I have to go do this or that. I had a conversation with a client, right? And he's like, his whole life, every time he saw water, like the ocean, he had to jump in, right? And I'm just like, bro, what I want to know is what compels you to make you want to jump in the ocean every single time, and you have to do it.
Yeah.
Like, for example,
Yeah.
he swims every fucking morning. Every morning, bro. It doesn't matter what day. He'll fucking wake up, look at the surf, see how everything goes, fucking swimming in the ocean every day. What compels you? That's not your own thoughts, man. Something is telling you, go get the fuck in the water.
Yeah.
Go the fuck ground yourself. Go fucking do this. It's like, dude, you have to take a step back and be like, why am I thinking this?
Yeah. what's the motivation?
Yeah,
Who's doing this?
yeah.
to me?
You know, like when you go to sleep, what tells you to open your eyes again for the
Yeah.
next day? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to fucking understand. You know, these questions is like what's
And where do we go when we sleep? And
yeah,
we do that
that's
every
crazy,
day.
right? Like yeah, you know, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
That is literally fucking crazy. Like I understand that yes, sleeping is rest, but I think one of the ceremonies kind of opened my eyes to a lot of things where like when I saw the moon and I was able to see, dude, side note, like you see a bunch of crazy shit that you can't explain, but you just know.
Yeah.
So for me, under medicine, I'm able to physically see energy. Like I can see the energy waves throughout the earth, you know, and I now know why we sleep at night because when the moon comes out, that energy is dense and fat. And the radiation coming off from the moon is like slow and fucking just covering everything. And it was like, yo, this is how you heal. So that's why when you sleep or you're sick or whatever, you
healing.
sleep so much.
Yeah.
And then in the Nevada ceremony, I got to connect with the sun, and the sun's energy is like a whip, but there's so much. It's like, yeah, everywhere. I'm like, and now I know why it gives you energy. Like, the sun's on fucking crack. You know what I mean? And that's why like we're awake doing fucking whatever the fuck we're doing, you know. And so it's like, dude, man, I just can't help but just realize like everything is just all energy. Even communicating to this mic is picking up, and then eventually it'll be shot through the internet. You know what I mean? It's some fucking wild shit to think about.
You know, and a lot of this talk about energy and whatnot, it might be foreign to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But once they take the step of drinking plant medicine and experiencing it themselves, having that direct connection with the logos, if you will, and that direct experience is what makes a non-believer a believer.
I also feel like, for example, we take medicine to connect, you know, but don't get me wrong, there's multiple ways of connecting with energy. You know, shout out to my friend Tony. He connected through the same energies that we're talking about, the same shit, through just meditation, through cultivation, through his process of becoming a monk, or you know, like that's his journey, his process, you know what I mean? But dude, he's connecting the same way. All these monks that are doing just cultivating and mantras and sound energy and sound baths, or all of this is just energy, you know what I mean? And they get to tap in differently, and you don't need medicine. You know, that's why all these people that meditate daily, I personally don't meditate daily. I know I should, because I think that would help me with when I do plant medicine and with my everyday life. But dude, when you meditate enough, I don't think there's ever enough, but when you meditate to a certain point, you start bringing in these energies that you never felt before. I had a cousin where we just literally bonded, you know, like it's like I've knew him my whole life, you know, but we never had this meaningful conversation about energy and everything. And he said that he had his friend die, and it's crazy because I think death is such an important teacher, because most of the people I talk about where they have epiphanies or they start soul searching or they do whatever, someone important to them had to pass away. You know what I mean? For me, you know, the first time I tried medicine, my good friend Phil passed away, and I was like, bro, I don't know what this medicine's like, you know, because for me, like if you do ecstasy or if you do shrooms, before I understood what shrooms was, it's like you can have a bad trip if your mind's not in the right place. And so I was really terrified of like, what if I have a bad trip? Because dude, I just found out my friend passed away, you know. And bro, my first journey, you know, I had multiple different journeys with different guides, and at the end he was like, surprise bro, it's me. I was like, what the fuck, you know? And dude, in my mind, I just finally got a chance to sit with him and really was like kind of say our goodbyes and see you laters, and he showed me how he was okay, and he showed me a bunch of crazy shit. You know what I mean? And at first I was kind of scared to tell his wife like what I've just done. And she'd think I'm gonna be fucking crazy, this and that. But like I had this urge to just share with her, and I was contemplating for a while, and I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna tell her. And bro, this is the crazy shit. So she's like, yo, when he passed away, he visited me in my dreams every single day, this and that, and this is how I would connect with him. And then she was like, there was one day he didn't show up. And she was tripping, and she's like, dude, he didn't visit me, this and that. It's the same day that I took medicine, bro.
Yeah, I believe that.
And I was like, yo, this is wild. And she was like, what the fuck is going on? You know what I mean? And I was like, bro, there is so more synchronicities and connections than I can't even comprehend right now.
You just described, I've heard this before, when people have a loved one who passes away and they go into the medicine, they have that direct contact with the person who had passed away. And I've also heard of people in ceremonies who are thinking and praying, sending intention to other people on the other side of the world, and then the next day after ceremony, that person will call them, thinking about them. Yeah. So we are connected. All connected to an extent.
It's pretty wild. Where it's like at first you're just like, dude, am I fucking hallucinating? And am I just losing my mind? Am I just an overactive imagination? I have an overactive imagination or something. But then later on, when these synchronicities connect with your everyday life, these fucking matrix walls start breaking down. You're just like, what the fuck?
Synchronicities is a huge thing. You start seeing, when you're connected, then you start seeing the synchronicities more. And just like you say, you listen to your gut. Some people don't know what that even means. They've been operating off their ego for so long. They lost their way. And the medicine helps with getting back to your true self, to operate off of yourself, your higher self, your gut.
But I feel like it's a double-edged sword, because I feel like there's certain people, for me, where like a lot of times I have to sit down and decipher what is real to me and what is just like this ego talking, or what is this mumbo jumbo that is clouded. Because like, we're picking up information nonstop through the TV, through the internet, through books, through stories. So like you have to kind of decipher what is real or what is not. Because then like I've seen people start connecting nothing to nothing, and they're like, it all makes sense. You know what I mean? Like this connects with that, and that connects with this, and I'm like, bro, it's just you're making the connection. You know what I mean? You can really connect anything with anything if you really wanted to, but really like that is just not it. It also comes down to what's funny is like, okay, I had all this experience. I can feel energy. There's people who are coming through. There's people like channeling through me, all this stuff. And then there's sometimes I would listen to people and they're talking about shit, and I'm like, bro, you're crazy. You know what I mean? But in reality, like, bro, I'm fucking doing all this crazy shit. But like, why is my mind thinking this person is crazy when they're talking about crazy shit, but really is not? It's weird,
It sounds crazy from a rational mind. So people will try to argue with a rational, alert, problem-solving state of mind that people are so used to. But it's a different type of a paradigm that we look through. So, it doesn't seem crazy if you look through that paradigm.
So let's go a little bit, rewind about integration. Would you like to share any experience where you had integrated with someone where they just sound like they were like over the top? Like, how do you deal with someone who's that? Like, let's say someone is on an integration call with you and they're like, yo, I think I'm the one, the God, the all-knowing, like I'm the reincarnation of this and that. Like, how do you deal with that? How do you try to bring them back down to this level, or do you let them expand, or how do you approach it? Where like, because like in my head, like if I went through an experience and I I felt like I was a god trapped in a human body or something. It's like, how do you cope with that?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like I'm a god, but now I'm stuck in a fucking human body. Like, what the
Uh-huh.
fuck?
So, so I would guide the person back to themselves,
Yeah,
and if they're in that loop,
yeah.
I would give them a way to I would guide them to a way to express
Like
themselves.
when you're saying guiding, it's like, do you give them advice or do you give them kind of like homework,
Mm.
or like what is your process of bringing this person back?
I would ask them questions
Yeah.
and try to pinpoint their intent
Mm-hmm.
of why they went to the medicine,
Yeah.
what they were trying to heal. Um, so that's the biggest thing with these medicines is to have an intention, and the medicine will meet you at your intention, um, but don't have any expectations,
Yeah.
of course. Um, but your intention, I would go back to what their intention was, and then I would ask them questions, and I would guide them into searching within themselves, to go to the root of it, and then ask them what they would want to do, and to express themselves, because you can think you're the God, the one, um, but what are you doing? What
Yeah.
are you doing in this world, to make it a better place? Because while we're here, we have a purpose to
Yeah.
be here.
So, for example, I I have a very loving relationship with ayahuasca. For someone that has never done ayahuasca, and they come to you, is there a way for you to kind of prepare them or kind of like give them these steps to kind of like prepare themselves? Because I feel like there's no real way to prepare for ayahuasca. It's
Right,
just you just go in and you just fucking do it,
right.
but it's like for someone that is really kind of like trying to get the most out of
Hmm.
their experience, what would you recommend, or what would you kind of coach them through prior to their first experience?
Well, first I would say is to start what we call the dieta.
Hmm.
You just diet yourself, and not just with food, but food is a big part of it.
Yeah.
No oils, fats, meats. Try to be as clean and clear going into the ceremony with what you eat, but also what you take in with media, radio, computer, TV, whatever it may be, because what you're bringing into the ceremony, it's you. You're bringing yourself and every different part of you with you to ceremony. Like you said, there is no real preparation you can do for an experience like that. You can watch all the YouTube videos you want,
For sure.
but it won't fully, prepare you, which is okay. We go to the medicine because we can't get ourselves out of the where we are with the same thinking that brought us into that. So we have the assistance of the medicine to help us break down those self-made barriers within
There's
ourselves.
plenty of people who actually kind of like approach me or message me, and they're like, "Yo, I think I'm ready for ayahuasca, but X excuse, this excuse, why I can't do this, why I'm not ready for this. I want to try it, but X X X X, bunch of excuses.
Yeah,
Reason why not to do it. But
yeah.
what advice do you have for someone who wants to do it, but in reality they're just scared shitless?
So that's a great question, and it happens a lot. But
Like all the time, bro.
and that's perfectly normal too. That's called resistance. So
Yeah.
if somebody feels the call and they know it from a gut level
Yeah.
of I know this will help me, but then the mind, which is fear based,
Yeah.
will come in and say no, I'm not ready yet, and this is resistance because your gut is telling you, like you said,
Yeah.
follow your gut, your heart, whatever you want to call it, your intuition, and then the fear that got you into this mess in the first place will be that resistance.
Yeah.
So if you feel that resistance, understand, have the awareness that that's the resistance. So if you step through that resistance, then something amazing will happen. So sometimes people would come, not make it to the second or third ceremony of
Yeah.
the week, because they're scared of that first intense ceremony. But as soon as I would talk to them, and finally they would say, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to drink medicine tonight and go through this resistance. And then they drink And then the next day, they always come back to me and say, "Thank you for motivating me, encouraging me to go face myself." You
Uh,
know,
uh,
because
Joe,
you go through that resistance.
Joe, do you remember the name of Taita Angel's wife? Was it Dora?
Dora.
So,
Shout out to Dora.
yeah, shout out to Dora, man. She is a fucking blessing. So, Dora is Taita Angel's wife that assists him with ceremony, right? Dude, in the Mexico ceremony, this shit was next level shit for me. Dude, the first night I was fucking depleted. Like I had no energy left. You know, I mean, you see what I go through with ceremony, so it drains me, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And I was like, bro, I need to sit out, you know? And I asked her, like, yo, should I drink tomorrow? And then it was the funniest answer, but bro, it really helped me. She was like, all you can do is pray. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then, like, I was like, all right, so whatever, you know, but literally, I sat down and I kind of prayed where I was like, give me a sign. Should I do it or not? You know, just let me know. And again, I followed my gut. My energy was like at zero. I had no gas in the tank left. But I said, fuck it, you know, and pushing my consciousness to the next limit after my energy was physically depleted, it pushed me into a different direction where it physically helped me heal,
Yeah.
physically and mentally.
Yeah.
And you know, Mexico was straight raw because like they'll make a meal for you, but it's like nothing.
Yeah.
And then now you're just like, I'm hungry, I'm starving, and there's no more food. But really, dude, it was such a beautiful ceremony because of there was no food
Right.
and there was no nothing. And
So sometimes the medicine will break us down
Yeah.
and deplete us and get us to a surrender spot.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's about, surrendering to the medicine. And so when we're depleted and tired, that's a good time to go into ceremony because you could just surrender and allow the medicine to heal you.
it's so funny because, you know, like our ceremonies, we're like very attentive, and there's like everyone gets their little throw up fucking trash can and stuff, and you know, if you need it, you need it.
Yeah.
But you know, we're going to ceremony in Mexico, and you know, all of us we're pretty much facilitators, and you know, we're setting up trash cans and stuff, and they're like, no, throw up on the land. I was like, Jesus, bro.
Give it back to Mother Earth.
You
I
know?
love purging this on the ground rather
Yeah.
than in a bucket, but
it was
depending on where you are.
it was a cool experience, man. And just to see like how hard Taita Pedro and Taita Angel really works when they're under medicine. They're doing repe as well. They're fucking drinking medicine as well. They're maintaining. It's like, dude, they're drinking more than us, and they're maintaining, and it really puts in perspective the power and energy they have. You know what I mean? It is just a whole. So there was this experience, man, in Mexico. Like I wanted to share with you. I thought I was done with the medicine. I was like, okay, it's cool. I'm gonna go back to the room and I'm gonna lay down and I'm gonna sleep. And bro, I ended up going on another journey, but this journey was vivid of nothing. So it was like I was in this pipeline of just pure light energy, and I'm just traveling nonstop,
Yeah.
like nonstop, like through tunnels, and then out of nowhere, I'm just like waking up like that, and I look over and I'm like, Taita Angel, Dora, what are you doing? You know, they went into the house, and I was the only one in the house, and I was like, how did you know I was here, and how did you know that I was going through this? And then all they said was, the spirits told us to go look for you. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And dude, it was so beautiful because they both stood there and waited till I woke up. But it was like, I was like, how long were you guys here? And they're like, maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, how is this so interconnected, bro? You know, and then, dude, they, Taita Angel, kind of gave me a blessing. He did some Florida water, all of that stuff to kind of ground me again. And then I was like, good night, because it was still dark out, right?
Yeah.
I was like, good night, and then looked at me funny, and they left. And I was like, what the fuck? That was weird. Bro, it was a night. It was like dawn.
Oh,
the,
really?
the sun was barely
Wow.
coming up, bro. And it was crazy because I did not even realize it, and I made this connection. And Taita Angel was like, you drink till the sun comes up because the sun represents the rebirth with you. And as I'm opening the door and the sun's coming out, I'm like, what the fuck? So I walk out. It's fucking cold. The sun's barely coming up, and dude, all I see is Nacho, this other dude Angel, and Taita Angel just sitting there, fucking sun gazing, bro.
I love it.
It was the most beautiful thing. I just sat down. No one said anything. We just sat down, just fucking stared at the sun. And since it's dawn, it like doesn't fuck with your eyes.
Yeah, it's perfect.
So I'm just like, a rational mind. Like, let's say some random dude walked in and see 4 people looking at the sun. They're like, dude, these fools are fucking crazy.
Right.
Yeah. But I was there. I was like, man, this is perfect.
I used to think with my rational, alert, problem-solving state of mind that didn't lead anything good. Yeah, that's a beautiful story. Thank you.
Yeah, man. It was, dude, there was so much stuff that happened in Mexico ceremony. It was so fucking wild. So another story I'd like to share where it has with synchronicities and things where it's like just too much to be coincidence. So you know how like I get when I'm under medicine, I kind of like go off, do my own thing. I'm kind of journeying myself. And dude, it's crazy because this is like 2 sides of the story, right? So my side, as I'm walking in the middle of nowhere, so they already set boundaries, but like at that point, I didn't even know what the boundaries were, out whatever. But I was sitting with the medicine just on the dirt road by myself, and I wanted to come back to the group, right? But then the medicine was like, no, don't come back yet because they're working on shit themselves, And so I didn't come back. And out of nowhere, it was like, okay, you can come back now. And that was my side. Their side was, it was Nacho's first time organizing. He got really scared. He was like, no. He was like, his energy was radiating of fear and anger and all this. And dude, his energy was making the dogs and shit go wild, dude. All these dogs were like howling, fucking this and that. Yeah. And then Taita Angel was like telling his wife, smoke the tobacco cigarette, bro. The big ass one. Dude. And he was like, smoke it and call Tony fucking back. So Dora, dude, I'm so appreciative. She has to smoke the whole fucking thing, bro. It's fucking hard. I barely smoke a little bit, and like she had to smoke the whole thing. The moment she smoked the last of it, I just showed up.
Wow.
And she's like, what the fuck? So everyone's tripping out. The Titan's tripping out. Dora's tripping out. We're all tripping out. You know what I mean? But it's just like, how are these things so interconnected, bro?
Yeah. Especially in ceremony.
Yeah.
In ceremony, I say there's never mistakes.
Yeah.
Everything's perfect, and we learn, and everything's connected. Like I've noticed in those big groups, this side of the room would be purging while this side's calm.
Yeah.
And then the energy would swing to this side. They're purging, and this side's calm.
Yeah.
So it's it's an orchestra. You see it as an orchestra. It's beautiful.
Yeah, man. I love both sides of it. I love wait, it's counting up. Oh shit. So we took a little quick breather break, and we're coming back to near the end of the segments of today's podcast. What was the most you got out of ayahuasca? Like, what makes you keep coming back?
That's a great question. Thank you for all the questions. I have to say, not prepared, but I love it. Just so many things come to my mind when you said, what has it given me? And it's given me a new life. Yeah. Completely. And transformed me from the inside out. Physical level, body, mind, emotional. And it's brought miracles to my life. For instance, the wonderful woman I'm with, and we just had a baby 5 months ago, Xavier. And, I've always wanted to be a father, but I had those father wounds growing up. Yeah. And so I needed to heal those, and I continue to go deeper within myself
Mm-hmm.
and continue to do this inner work each and every day to integrate these experiences with the medicine into my everyday life, using this medicine as a tool to make my life better. So, what did it give me? There's so many things. Just the tip of the iceberg is my son, my family, and my life in general. Just a whole new paradigm on life in general. Mm.
How does your girl feel about you drinking medicine, you serving medicine, like the path that you're on? How does she cope with that? Are you guys struggling with that? I wanted to kind of give people insight about spouses and people who serve medicine or work with medicine, because I know it can be really taxing on relationships.
Mhm. But at the same time, it also helps
Mm,
with relationships.
dope.
And within the medicine, um, you know, that's what makes life meaningful is to have these close interpersonal relationships. And so a lot of people, myself included, have had these traumatic relationships in our life. And so we have to heal our relationships within our life. The woman I'm with right now, I met her within the medicine,
Hmm.
and so she supports it tremendously. And um, but the thing about that is the medicine wants us to be the best versions of ourselves. So in the past, I've dealt with codependency,
Yeah.
uh-huh. And the medicine has helped me get out of that habit of being dependent on somebody else. The medicine has taught me to be independent. So within a relationship, it has helped me learn to be a fully independent person so that I can come into a conscious relationship. So
Dope.
in the past, my relationships haven't worked because of those traumas that I didn't heal yet, and so that I took that out and projected that on to my partners.
Yeah.
But with the medicine, I was able to go in and find the the root of what it was that was affecting my relationships, and I am able to work with that with my partner in this conscious relationship. And the trick, the what I've learned from the medicine is to fully be in your own power and to
Hmm.
then come together and be interdependent rather than
Nice.
codependent. So um, the taxing on relationships is just the medicine working out our karma
Yeah.
within relationships, and that could be generational.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And so we come together to heal that. So, for instance, using my story, my parents, grandparents, it's in the family that relationships don't work out the best way, and I knew that, and I went to the root of why it wasn't working out, and the medicine helped me do
Yeah.
that. And so I'm able to fully be in my own power, and then come together in a conscious relationship.
So with your knowledge, what for people who are seeking out to heal themselves through medicine, what is this medicine best for people who have PTSD? What maybe some type of traumas? Like, what is this medicine ideal for helping resolve? I don't want to say fix, but help you cope with your issues. Like, like what what is ayahuasca good for? What type of person seeking out ayahuasca is good for? You know
That's
what
a
I mean,
great,
though?
yeah. It's so if you're a truth seeker
Yeah.
and you're looking for the truth, and you feel that call to it. But as for what it heals, it can be so many different
Yeah.
things. And the medicine really meets you where you're at. So it's different for every single person.
Hmm.
Like with normal pharmaceuticals, they will put something in you to feel a certain way.
Yeah.
So if you give the same pill to 10 people, they'll feel that same thing.
Yeah.
But with this medicine, it goes to whatever your
Yeah.
intent is, and it meets you
Super
there.
intuitive
Very,
medicine.
hmm
You
very
know,
wise.
let's go down to the path where who is it not for?
Mhm.
Who do you think should not take the medicine? Yeah.
That's an awesome question because there are a lot of people that are suffering, that are addicted to pharmaceutical
Yeah.
pills and other hard drugs, or that are heavy into alcohol.
Yeah.
So if somebody's into alcohol and takes pills and have been taking, for instance, SSRIs or antidepressants, things of that sort for years, then I would say to prepare for medicine, you would want to taper off that.
Got you.
And I'm not a doctor, so I wouldn't
Yeah.
recommend anyone to do that without
Yeah.
um,
Consulting
their
their doctor.
but
Same wavelength.
um, but at the same time, to try to get off, those things, get off alcohol, get off drinking. The comedian Ron White is on Joe Rogan. He just talked about his experience at Rhythmia, and is a great depiction of what an experience is like on Rhythmia. So if you all want to look up the Ron White on Joe Rogan talking about his ayahuasca, he talks about getting off of alcohol before he went.
Gotcha.
He went to a psychic down in Santa Monica to try to help him get off drinking because he was an everyday drinker before he went and did the medicine, and he was able to do that. A lot of the time, the medicine will start working before you drink the medicine. If you make a decision within yourself to say, I'm going to make the decision to drink medicine, it will find you. Using my story as the example, I was researching ayahuasca, and I was watching Graham Hancock talk about ayahuasca, angels, aliens.
Yeah.
There's a great YouTube lecture on that. And a year and a half later, I'm with Graham Hancock in his house in England talking about ayahuasca,
wild? Yeah.
doing mushrooms and smoking his volcano with him.
So
Shout out to Graham Hancock. Love you, man.
So speaking of psychics, what is your stance with people who call themselves psychics, or people who have psychic shops and you pay for like a psychic reading? Like, what's your stance on that?
I mean, just it depends on who it is.
Yeah.
Depending on what their intent is. I mean, there are people with abilities that are out of my knowledge.
Yeah. For me, I'm like,
trust yourself, though. I always would say that.
Yeah,
first.
I'm a very skeptical person, so I like really doing research about what I do. And like, let's say I do meet a psychic, I'm gonna pick their brain and I'm gonna reveal very minimal information, and because psychics, maybe their ability is just to read off the energy you're giving off at the moment, or the way they ask certain questions, you subconsciously review certain things. For me, it's really hard to believe a psychic, even though we're all in this community. Sometimes I feel like if you're getting paid for it, your intent is different. And don't get me wrong, I think like if you have this ability and you're spending your life dedicating your life to your skill set, and you're really helping people, this and that, you deserve to get paid for it, right? But there's also sometimes I feel where it's like, bro, your grandpa's trying to contact you, or like shit like that is like, I'm very skeptical of that. Have you met any psychics in your lifetime where you're like, this motherfucker's the real deal? You know what I mean?
It's usually the people who don't call themselves psychics, and the people who are kind of behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That are really flashy, and it's I try to listen to my intuition.
Yeah.
Anyway, I take everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Even what I'm saying, take it with a grain of salt. This is just my experience with it.
Having the conversation with you and being on the podcast with you, like the way that we're communicating and what we're sharing, I feel like the audience watching can feel our intent and feel how genuine we are when we talk about it. Yeah. I personally have a great bullshit reader. Like when people talk about shit, that alarm will go off and I'm like, whatever, bro, but I'll listen. You know what I mean? Sure. So nearing the end of the podcast, give me a little bit about information, how people can reach you, contact you, what you actually specialize in, your coaching. What are methods that they can reach out to you, your contact, your Instagram?
Well,
Give yourself a shout out.
Well, my website is medicintegration.com.
Yeah.
medicintegration. Medicintegration.com. And or there's also shamanchristian.com.
Yeah.
And that you can contact me. We can do one-on-ones. I like working one-on-one with people to prepare them and help them integrate. But I also like doing group calls, group integrations, because we learn from one another.
Yeah.
So at a ceremony, we would do, we would gather in a group around a fire before or after ceremony, and we would talk about our experiences and integrate together. So I like doing the group setting. I work with people one-on-one. And then, of course, ceremonies. And that's what we're going to be doing a lot more of, is ceremonies. So my Instagram is at Christian_Metzger. And
if any of the information resonates with you guys watching, and you would like more information about where to do ayahuasca or how to connect with it, he's a great resource. I'm a great resource. I'll be more than happy to lead you guys on your path of research. You know what I mean? I don't want to tell you to do it or not, but after your research, you would know better. Ask yourself that question if you're ready or not. But yeah, this was a sick ass podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on, making the effort to come down here and just sharing your knowledge and just everything, bro. Yeah, bro.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, bro. You're awesome.
And we're out.
Peace.